The following program has been pre-recorded for broadcast at this time on WABC, New York. And now, Bob Grant.
WABC, New York.
And let's be heard. Good afternoon, everyone. The telephone lines are open. The number to call in New York, 212-563-WABC. If you're calling from New Jersey, a state which will become Florio-free in 93, 201-489-WABC, in a program dedicated to the free and open exchange of ideas and of opinions. And what is on your mind this afternoon? Speaking of becoming Florio-free in 93, I look forward to addressing what they say will be the most gala, the biggest turnout they've had, Union County in years, at the, what is the name of it? The Westwood in Garwood tonight. It's a tribute to Matt Ronaldo for his 22 years of service. And, of course, a salute to his successor, one of New Jersey's most dedicated political figures and a definite star on the political horizon, 7th Congressional District Representative Bobby Franks. I'm heartened and looking forward to tomorrow, when I will be joining Congressman Dick Zimmer and a host of dedicated New Jerseyans who are members of the Coalition Against Higher Taxes, Hands Across New Jersey, and other taxpayer organizations. For some reason, Sam Pirelli is not going to be there, and that, of course, is unfortunate, but he will be conspicuous by his absence, but everybody else but Sam will be there at the State House in Trenton, May 8th. That's tomorrow, 1 p.m., to protest the Slick Willie Clinton tax plan. And, of course, we need your support to convince New Jersey's congressional delegation in Washington that the Clinton tax plan will hurt hard-working families and senior citizens. For further information, call 1-800-DON'T-TAX. 1-800-DON'T-TAX. They've asked me to be the keynote speaker tomorrow, and I love to go to affairs where I know I'm going to enjoy the keynote speaker. That'll be tomorrow, 1 o'clock. I'll see you there. And, of course, tonight at the Westwood in Garwood. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is all unimportant when compared to this story. A story which breaks my heart and should break yours. Ladies and gentlemen, how many times, I ask you, have you heard me say, once a mutant serves notice on society he is not fit to live amongst innocent men, women, and children, that person should be removed forever. The logical response to the identification of an enemy of society, a human microbe, or should I say a subhuman microbe, would be to render that creature null and void by execution. In a brave new world of tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, but a brave new world which will dawn on us, not necessarily the United States of America, because by that time there will be no United States of America as we know it, but there will be the human race somewhere on this earth, and they will have learned the harsh lesson that when a mutant reveals itself, that mutant must be eradicated. All right, you don't want to execute the mutant? Then lock up the mutant until he croaks from natural causes. Over and over again, we have evidence that what Bob Grant has been saying all these years is true, is correct, is logical. But the authorities, the people you elect, the people who make the laws, they haven't gotten the message. They don't understand. They're still inflicted with the bleeding heart liberalism. And what is making me say this today? Did you hear about that mutant, that scum, that vermin, paroled from prison in March? Now accused of kidnapping, raping, murdering a 7-year-old girl? This scum's name is Conrad Jeffrey. He lured a child from a group of friends by promising them quarters if they would race each other. This 40-year-old scum grabbed Davina Genao by the wrists, dragged her to his boarding house. Did that 15 minutes after a family friend called them. The police arrived. Now get a load of this. They called 15 minutes. 15 minutes after a family friend called them, the police arrived at the boarding house. The police heard muffled screams. The police heard scuffling from this mutant's second-floor room. The Passaic police officers kicked down the door but found the little girl dead. And an autopsy showed that little Davina died from asphyxiation. That means she had been choked. She died from blunt force trauma to the head. That means that he hit her in the head. Blunt force trauma to the limbs and to the genital area. Now this scum, this swine, was released March 25th. Here it is, May 7th. Just a scant 6 weeks. This scum was released March 25th after serving only 30 months of a 5-year sentence for grabbing a 14-year-old Hackensack girl and trying to lead her away. At 9.3 years ago, the girl was able to escape with the help of a friend. But I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what logic is there when a person identifies himself, serves notice on society that he is a mutant? What logic is there to let that person out? What did they think had happened to Conrad Jeffrey in the 30 months that he was locked up? What did they think had happened? Did they think that a miracle occurred and suddenly he was no longer a mutant, obsessed with the mad urge, the mad need to maim, to kill children? Do they think that locking a person up somehow or other has a calmative effect, a curative effect? If going to jail was a cure, then we'd all lock ourselves up for a while and come out peachy keen, right? Look, my heart breaks for little Davina and all the other little children all over this country who for years and years and years since I can remember have been subjected to this brutality, who have met these tawdry, these despicable deaths. But what outrages me more than anything else is the knowledge that as I sit here before this WABC microphone and as I tell you this, nothing but nothing will change. It won't change. And the next time, it might be your 7-year-old daughter or your 8-year-old son. And there are plenty of mutants out there who have served notice. And yet the system keeps turning them loose, turning them loose, turning them loose.
Yeah, hi, Bob. I want to talk about Jackie Mason making an attempt to run for, city council president or something. I like him. I like some of the things that he said on his television show, but I think that it'll come out some racist statements that he's made, during his comedy routine, such as black people liking fa-fa-fo and having big penises.
You know what, Paul?
Yes.
You're a sick, no good bleep. Peter, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon, Bob. Just listen to this.
Where are you from? Me? Yeah, no. On WABC, let's say hello to Manos, checking in on the line from New Jersey. Hello, Manos.
Hello, Mr. Grant. At 2 minutes to 5 this afternoon, speaking to the male caller, you asked a very clever question. Why does Nelson Mandela, who is not dummy, not want the whites to leave South Africa? That reminded me of something I witnessed at the United Nations back in 1948 or 49, when the headquarters of the United Nations was at Lake Success, New York, at the gyroscope facility. The question of the Italian colonies was being discussed at that time, and because Italy was not a member of the United Nations yet, Count Carlos Sforza was there as an observer. The Somalian representative, a black, had hired a Italian French-speaking interpreter in New York and had him standing next to him. And while the Somalian was speaking in very good Italian, and I say very good because I speak Italian, I'm a graduate of an Italian teacher training school. And while the Somalian was speaking in very good Italian, the Italian French-speaking man was translating to French, and then the official interpreters of the United Nations were taken from French and translated simultaneously into Russian, English, Spanish, and I think Chinese at the time, the official languages. Now, the Somalian representative begged the United Nations to let Italy stay in Somalia for 10 more years because, as he said, we are not ready, we cannot govern ourselves. So this is a proof that your question was very apt. Why does Mandela want the whites to leave? The Somalian representative admitted that after they were not ready to govern themselves.
And they still aren't, and they probably never will be. Manos, I thank you for the call.
I thank you, too. Thank you.
All right, Mike, you're on WABC. What's on your mind?
How you doing, Mr. Grant? There's just a couple of points I'd like to make. First of all, broadcasters like you are the last bastion for the non-vocal majority of this country. And as far as the other caller was talking about the words WAP and Guinea used in movies, all you have to do is watch any modern gangster movie, including The Godfather, is used all over the place. And Leonard Jeffries, the thing about melanin, everybody has melanin in their system. Without melanin, you'd be an albino. Everyone has melanin. Doesn't make you better or worse. And I've known 3 albinos in my life, and all of them were of Negro descent. It means nothing. How people like Mr. Jefferson can have any kind of power or any kind of publicity is beyond me. That's all I'd like to say.
I thank you. I thank you for saying it.
WABC is New York.
WABC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, shall we go to our telephones? I must tell you, Alex Nadjevitz, who is one of Williamsburg's most honored citizens, called just prior to airtime, and he says that Williamsburg lays claim to being the first entity to declare wall-to-wall Bob Grant country. He says that they beat Bensonhurst by a couple of days, and I looked up the file, and lo and behold, we had Bensonhurst declaring on this date, October 19th, 1970. Ipso facto, in perpetuity, Bensonhurst shall be known as wall-to-wall Bob Grant country. And it was signed Nunzio Massino. Lo and behold, on the 18th of October, Chai Day. They were all saying, Chai, neighbor. Anyway, on the 18th of October, this proclamation, be it known, henceforth, in perpetuity, Bob Grant, wall-to-wall Bob Grant country. That is what we will refer to Williamsburg as. That's a little convoluted there. Let me dress it up a little bit. Williamsburg, henceforth, will be known as wall-to-wall Bob Grant country. And it's signed the Rebbe. Joel Teitelbaum signed that himself. So, all right. Williamsburg beat Bensonhurst by 1 day. All right. At any rate, let's get to our telephones here. Bob, you're on WABC. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Bob. I'll tell you what the problem is. Instead of the authorities worrying about protecting our children and citizens, they're worried about giving these prisoners cable televisions, furloughs, civil rights, great dinner menus, whatnot, so on and so forth. It's absolutely absurd. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, but regardless of what they do while they're in jail, they should never let them out. Whether they have television or not television or cable or not cable is irrelevant. The fact is, nothing changes them. See, this guy didn't get that. This guy didn't understand. People don't understand. That's why we're going to continue to see our children and loved ones ravaged, murdered. Dorothy of Seaford, what's on your mind?
Yes, Mr. Grant, besides telling you that I love your show, I have two other things to say, a comment and a question. My comment is about something I read in Newsweek magazine. I read that Zoe Baird has been appointed to the Foreign Intelligence Board. And I think this is important to say because I think that she was rejected mainly because many citizens had called up their congressmen and senators to protest her. And maybe these people out there listening to you don't realize, like I didn't realize until I read this, that she's been appointed to a job now on the Foreign Intelligence. Is that slick or is it slick? That's not my question. My question, Ms. Grant, is that shortly after Janet Reno came in and they fired all the lawyers, and I haven't heard anything about that. Have they been fired? Is the time up?
Well, in some cases they were. In other cases they weren't. For example, Michael Chertoff, who is headquartered in Newark, New Jersey, is not leaving his post. And one of the reasons he's not leaving his post is when I made an editorial on the air about it, so many of you good people contacted the White House and contacted Janet Reno that they rescinded his firing. You know, when I say at the conclusion of the broadcast, your influence counts, I'm not just saying that as a catchy phrase. I'm not saying that as some dramatic way to sign off the program. I'm saying it because it's true. But, of course, if you don't use it, then how can it count? David, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hi, how you doing, Bob? Just wanted to say, first off, that I think you're wonderful. I got turned on to you about a year ago, and I think that, you've kept me sane in this, bleeding heart city. But I heard you talking earlier. I hate to jump back onto an earlier point, but I heard you talking about this guy who abducted the girl yesterday.
He not only abducted her, he murdered her.
No, it's insane, and I can't stand it when you listen to these bleeding heart liberals who tell you that, I don't believe in capital punishment, this and that. And they're living in this scum-infested city, and they just don't believe in it. And you ask them, right? You say, well, how would you feel if this was your mother or your daughter, or...
It doesn't have to be my mother or my daughter. It's Davina Janau, a 7-year-old girl, and that she's not related to me is irrelevant. Thank you very much, David. Roman, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yes, hello, Bob. I listen to you every day, and I agree with you most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time.
What are we going to do? Take a test? What is everybody going to have to do? Take a test? Signify. You agree with Grant 78%, 92%? What difference does it make?
Oh, okay. Bob, the reason I called is I read an article in the New York Post, I think it was yesterday, and they had an article about gun permits and the right for people to know who has a gun and their telephone number and all the information about them. By just calling up the police department, they have to, by law, give it to you. And this was an article about the celebrities, that the ones that do have the guns, like Robert De Niro, for instance, are worried about stalkers. So what the police officers are doing now is they're not giving out the celebrities' information, but they're giving out all the other people information, which I don't understand. Is that a double standard? I don't understand.
Well, of course it's a double standard, and it's favoritism. They are saying, well, these are elitist people, these are special people. They're not special people. They may have special talent, they may be celebrities, but they're citizens, damn it, and they're no better than you. Thank you. Hello, Joan. What's on your mind this afternoon?
Hello, Bob. I
heard that story this morning about the creep in Passaic, and it made me sick. I have a 6-month-old daughter. I think I found a cure for these guys. I think we ought to bring back public hangings.
Just hang them. It doesn't have to be in public. It's people with the public hanging. Rob, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yes, Bob. I would like to talk about the non-involvement of white people in today's society. The so-called African Americans destroy our society, and almost everyone...
You don't have to laugh at guys like this guy on the line. He's got something to say, probably very important, and he doesn't want us to understand him. Would you get close to that to that telephone and please talk?
I am close to it.
Well, then what are you doing? Turning your head every now and then?
I'm talking here.
Well, I don't know. You got a cheap phone then. Let's try it a little better here.
All right. Well, every white male I talk to, their response is, I don't want to get involved, or maybe it will go away. If these people don't do anything, the good, decent people of America will become extinct.
Maybe what will go away?
Make the criminals go away.
Criminals?
Yeah, criminals or the crime, everything. They just want to close their eyes and they say maybe it will go away, and they don't want to do anything.
Are you quoting somebody, or are you just surmising?
I'm quoting somebody, the people I talk to.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't worry about them because they're too stupid to even care about if that's what they really believe. Thank you for the call.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I felt very enthused about this broadcast about 20 minutes ago when I began. And after just talking to a half a dozen people or so, all I can say is thank God there's only 366 more of these things to do, counting today. You know what? I really shouldn't be doing this. I'm not qualified. You know what? To really be qualified, to be a talk show host, you've got to be immune to stupidity. Stupidity, dumbness, ignorance is not supposed to bother you. Hey, Benelli, bring in somebody that doesn't care about stupidity.
How you doing?
Okay. Did you congratulate Leonard Jeffries?
Yes, Mr. Graham, we got a bad connection.
What's that?
Do we have a bad connection?
We do have a bad connection.
All right, I have to
What part of Brooklyn are you calling from?
I'm calling from the most liberalist part of Brooklyn. I mean, interracial couples, gay couples. I mean, can you guess?
The Heights?
Park Slope.
Park Slope?
Yeah.
Yeah, Park Slope, but don't forget the Heights where those snobs are.
Well, rich people I like. I admire rich people. I don't care how snobby they are. But I want to talk about welfare, Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant, United States government got to stop giving welfare out, not to every ethnic group, especially black people. If they would stop giving out welfare tonight at 7 o'clock when your program go off, black people will help other black people. We will take the responsibility for our own people. But as long as the government keep giving welfare, why should I? Why should I do anything if the government is going to do it? So welfare has to be stopped for black people, just completely one day. Welfare reform, come on, Mr. Grant, you know welfare reform spends more money trying to reform something than doing anything. Welfare reform is a joke. So anytime I hear any politician, liberal, conservative, Republican, or Democrat, when they mention that word welfare reform, that's garbage. They phonies, they fakes, and they frauds. I don't care if it's Mr. Dole or Clinton or whoever. Anybody who mentions welfare reform, anybody who says, we're going to get rid of welfare tonight, then you listen to that individual. Because that's the only way you're going to do anything. Welfare reform is garbage.
Yeah, you're making a lot of sense. Of course, it won't happen, Light, but you're making a lot of sense. There's Light of Park Slope. All right, we're going to remind you that following this broadcast, tonight it's Milwaukee Brewers baseball.
When it's hot, all I have to do is whistle.
Because we need to hear that. We need to hear your voice.
I appreciate your call, Dan.
Okay.
This is America's most listened to talk radio station.
WABC New York.
It's 6 o'clock.
From ABC News, I'm Doug Limerick. The so-called motor voter bill has finally been approved by Congress. After lots of delays, the Senate's approved that voter registration bill, vote of 62 to 36. Here's ABC's Vic Ratner at the Capitol.
Senate Democrats broke a Republican filibuster to send to the president the measure to make registering to vote as easy as getting your driver's license. Chief Senate sponsor Wendell Ford of Kentucky told his colleagues a grassroots effort was responsible.
This is Bob Grant here in New York City, and we're going to the newsbreaker line, stretching all the way to the 50th State of the Union. That's right, Hawaii. At the other end of the line, Hawaii Attorney General Robert Marks. Hawaii is an unusual state, folks. They have a male Attorney General. Mr. Marks is now reviewing a ruling by that state's highest court that could, now hold on, get the digitalis, could clear the way in making Hawaii the first state in the nation to recognize marriages between homosexuals. A decision that could have a nationwide impact. What is the position of the Attorney General's office in this?
Well, we're going to defend the constitutionality of the statute as we understand it. The Supreme Court was very careful to describe what they were doing as not blessing homosexual marriages. Rather, they looked upon it as same-sex marriages.
Isn't that double talk?
Well, I think it's a clever intellectual construct and ignores the underlying realities. And we have had recently two applicants for marriage. Both of them were male and who declared their heterosexuality and merely wanted to get the tax benefits of marriage. So, it's a distinction with a difference, but not a tremendous one.
So they want to get the tax benefits of marriage, but they are members of the same sex. Well, I tell you, things are really getting weird here. Now, you talked about your office defending the constitutionality of the state constitution. What does the state constitution say, actually, on this?
Well, the part of the state constitution that the Supreme Court is focused on has to do with our Equal Protection Clause, which makes specific reference to...
Hello? What happened here? Wait, are you there, Mr. Marks? Okay. All right. We had a disconnect here on WABC. Maybe it was another State of the Union sabotaging the line. No, just it's a clipboard is what it is. That's what it was. Anyway, if you just tuned in, we're on the newsbreaker line with the Hawaii Attorney General Robert Marks, who is reviewing a ruling by that state's highest court that could clear the way in making Hawaii the first state in the nation to recognize marriages between couples of the same sex. And we have reestablished our contact with Attorney General Marks. I'm sorry for the problem there. Mr. Marks, you were telling us what your state constitution says.
Yeah, it prohibits unequal treatment under the law on account of sex. And that's basically what they took off on, is that two people who are of mixed gender can receive a marriage license and people of the same gender cannot. And so they took out sexual preference from their analysis and just looked purely at the gender of the applicants for marriage.
Oh, I could see the ramifications of this. It's everybody, all the considerable portion of the population that is now single or living alone will probably take advantage of this.
Well, I mean, it carries with it nothing in their ruling suggests that the downsides of marriage are dispensed with. Things like divorce in order to dissolve the relationship. So I don't know whether this will create a rush to the marriage license desk or not. Certainly some couples, some same-sex couples who have wanted to marry, if the law is sustained on remand to the lower courts and ultimately on further appeal, I imagine there will be some same-sex marriages that will be then permitted in Hawaii. That assumes, of course, that we'll lose, and I'm certainly not ready to concede that.
I just wonder about one of the justices on the state Supreme Court, State of Hawaii Supreme Court, who wrote this. I'm quoting now: "Marriage is a basic civil right." How do you view that statement?
Well, there's been a lot of talk in Supreme Court decisions, Supreme Court of the United States decisions, about the fundamental importance of the institution of marriage. And it came up in the context of the Supreme Court, the United States striking down.
Again? What do we have here? Don't run away. All right. Are you there, sir? What's going on here? Let's get rid of this clipboard, that's for sure. All right, let's try it again. Oh, dear me. You know, it wouldn't happen on a local call. No, it has to happen when we have a gentleman on the line all the way from the state of Hawaii, speaking to us from Honolulu, Hawaii, the capital of that state. And we are trying to conclude. Maybe this time he'll say he doesn't want to talk. Maybe he's a busy guy. Maybe he doesn't want to talk to somebody that has problems with the phone. But it's the clipboard, Bob. The clipboard. It doesn't work there like that. All right. We have Mr. Marks again. I hope. I think. All right. And, oh, dear. Well, you know, each and every day is a challenge. And 366 programs counting today. Okay.
You having telephone failures there in New York today?
I'm not quite sure whether it's the phone company or something here at the studio. But if it happens one more time, I'll ask for an investigation. Maybe your office will investigate for us.
Well, we'll get right in touch with Bob Abrams.
Now, Mr. Marks, you were talking about the state Supreme Court. Now, if your office wants to appeal, is it conceivable that this could go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court?
No, they've tied the ruling exclusively to the state constitution. There is no federal question here for the United States Supreme Court to look at. So what we need to do is go back to the trial court, demonstrate to the trial court that there is a compelling state interest in limiting marriage to opposite-sex couples, and whoever wins that case will be content. Whoever loses it will surely take it back to the Hawaii Supreme Court, where at that point the case will probably be finally decided.
And now, a person in Hawaii as of this moment, what is their status as a result of what we're talking about here?
Nothing has changed immediately as a result of the decision. The decision foretells a new way to look at the marriage statute, but it does not affect who can receive a license until the trial court on remand issues its ruling, and ultimately the Supreme Court issues its final ruling. So we'll get another shot at with the court. There's another thing about the decision. The decision is signed on by 2 members of the Supreme Court, 2 members of our Intermediate Court of Appeals who were temporarily assigned to the Supreme Court because of other absences. And by the time this case gets back to the Hawaii Supreme Court, there will be some new justices who I imagine will be hearing the case the next time it comes through. But it's a very interesting decision, and we'll do our best to defend the law as we understand it. And we'll just see what happens next.
One final point. Although your purview is strictly interpretation of the law and trying to abide by the law and understand the definitions of the law, public opinion does have to count for something. What seems to be the public opinion there, or are people so blasé in Hawaii that they really aren't paying much attention?
Oh, I think people are paying attention here. Frankly, my job is to do the lawyering and not to do the politicking on it. So I will confine myself to my job. Hawaii does have a long history of tolerance, and so I don't think that the reaction here is the kind of outrage one might find in other states. There certainly are a lot of people who are troubled by the decision, but that's sort of independent of what I'm here to do, and I will defend the statute in a dispassionate and lawyerly way. I am not driven in defending the statute by any homophobic instincts or anything like that. We just have our job to do to defend the statute, and that's what we'll do.
All right. I'm sure you're aware of some of the talk here in the state of New York, where the statement has been made that since this is a situation where they are recognizing marriages performed in other states, couples married in Hawaii could get marital benefits in states like New York.
Well, I think that what would happen if ultimately our position is not upheld in this litigation and same-sex marriages do occur here, each of the states will be called upon to review whether Hawaii marriages granted to same-sex couples should be afforded full faith and credit in that state. And so it will definitely set off a wave of national litigation. And it'll be incumbent on each state's courts to decide whether the Hawaii marriage should be recognized.
Yeah.
And the outcome of that litigation depends in each instance on the state's courts.
Absolutely bizarre, in my view. Absolutely bizarre. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
Hawaii Attorney General Robert Marks, and I just want to tell you that no state currently allows such marriages, but each state recognizes marriages performed in another state. That means that homosexual couples married in Hawaii would have to be recognized as married couples in other states, thereby entitling the couples to the tax breaks, health benefits, and survivor benefits that accrue to married partners. So, everybody, get ready to go out to Hawaii, have your marriage ceremony, and then come right back here, lickety-split.
After 30 years, my oil furnace finally called it quits. So I called my oil heat dealer, who showed me the latest oil furnaces. They're much smaller. They burn clean, really efficient. I mean, who knew that technology had gotten so advanced? So count me in for another 30 years.
According to the most recent Department of Energy data, the average oil furnace is 10% more efficient than the average gas furnace, which helps explain why more people choose oil for their custom-built homes.
You know, with oil heat, I have lots of dealers to choose from, which pretty much guarantees me great service. There's only one gas company, which pretty much guarantees me not much.
Your local independent oil heat dealer does what it takes to keep you as a customer. True, the gas company wants to keep you too, but sometimes it's hard to tell.
Well, sometimes you take chances and sometimes you don't. Gas heat in my house? Well, my house is not exactly the place I feel like taking a chance.
When you know the facts, you'll agree. Today's oil heat, it's just better. Brought to you by the Metropolitan Energy Council. If you were to ask seafood eaters in North Jersey to give you the name of the area's best-known fish market, they'd no doubt answer North American Lobster Company. But how did North American Lobster Company become so well-renowned? Is it the low price, selection, quality? Well, the answer is all three. No other consumer is more demanding than a seafood buyer. And the truth is, prices at North American Lobster Company have never been sharper, the selection greater, and the quality more outstanding. You see, when you buy from the North American Lobster Company, you're buying direct from North Jersey's largest seafood distributor. That's why the low prices and freshness is guaranteed. Oh, did you know this famous fish market is also a great restaurant? If you haven't been to North American Lobster Company lately, or have yet to discover this seafood landmark, the time has never been better. North American Lobster Company on Route 1 and 9 in North Bergen, minutes from the Lincoln and Holland tunnels. On Route 17 in Carlstadt and Route 46, Parsippany. More than 1 million Americans have already called to order the American Will Kit, the simple fill-in-the-blank will that allows you to make your own will quickly and easily. Don't forget, regardless of the size of your estate, without a will, state laws and not you will determine who receives your property and in what amounts, who manages the affairs of your state. Your choice as guardian of your minor children will never be known. Your loved ones could face unnecessary legal costs and needless court delays. With the American Will Kit, you'll receive all the proper forms and materials necessary to make your own will. The forms are prepared by lawyers to be valid in all 50 states. We urge you to please beware of sound-alike will kits that simply do not have the same track record. Now in its 10th year of publication, you can have your own valid will with the trusted original American Will Kit for just $14.95 plus shipping. Please don't deprive your loved ones. To order by credit card, call toll-free 1-800-942-4500. Sorry, no CODs. Call now, 1-800-942-4500.
77 WABC.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't tell me that there aren't quotas in this country, except if in the NBA, the NFL, the major leagues, any sports. Get all this latest mishigas. The New Jersey Casino Control Commission is conducting a special hearing on its proposed affirmative action equal opportunity regulations. Casinos would be required to maintain employment and purchasing gold. See, they avoid the use of the word quota. They are sneaky scumbags, but would also have more flexibility in designing programs. What double talk. Casinos would be required to have 46% women and 25% minorities, whatever that means, represented in their workforce. Casinos that meet those goals in certain categories would be relieved from some government reporting requirements. The proposal also calls for the industry to be creative and think long-term in developing their equal employment plans. The gaming halls could get credit by doing business with small firms located in Atlantic City. And by the way, you find me a firm located in Atlantic City you'd feel comfortable doing business with, will you? Or by helping minority businesses. I'm sick of this. 1756 Campbell Road, New South Wales, Australia, pal. You can write to me and complain. Eat your heart out. I'm getting out of this cesspool. Sam, you're on WABC. Hello. Are you there, Sam?
Yes.
Why did you say hello when I said hello?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm an old-time lawyer, and when I went to law school 60-some-odd years ago, the question came up, which was, I think, that would be decisive on this question of whether a Hawaiian marriage between two men would be recognized, or would have to be recognized in New York.
Yes.
The case of generally a marriage, if it's valid where performed, will be recognized in New York. But the case came up where a brother and a sister had been married in Persia, and under Persian law, such a marriage was valid. When it came when the woman brought an action for a divorce in New York, claiming she was married to her brother, and the marriage was valid under Persian law, therefore, in New York, the Court of Appeals said that it's against public policy and threw it out. I think that would dispose of any question that we would have to recognize.
Well, you're talking about a marriage performed in Persia, now Iran, of course.
I understand.
As opposed to a marriage performed in
it wouldn't make any difference.
In the United States.
No, it wouldn't make any difference.
No, you think not, huh?
No, but marriage performed, for instance, in France, if it's valid under French law, even though it might not be performed under New York law, would be recognized. But this was thrown out because the Court of Appeals said that a marriage between brother and sister is against public policy.
Yeah, but this is still a little different. Listen, pal, I know you practice law, but guess what, Sam? With all due respect, I think you've got a little rusty, but that's okay. Call Raymond Burr. He'll straighten you out. Ellen, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Ellen.
Hi, Bob. I have two incidents I wish to tell you about. During the week, when I sleep at night, I always have my radio going. And I happened to hear a little snippet about how a plane came from France to bring gay people to the Washington mess. Well, the pilot was so upset that he wanted the blankets and the pillows fumigated. And I heard that he was to be fired. Well, that's all I ever heard about that. I heard it during the night on the radio. They wanted to fire this pilot for what he wished to do. God knows what those people from France were doing on the plane as they came here to America to go to Washington. But the other thing, I know that you don't like people who smoke. Well, I'm a smoker. But one thing about me, I never smoke where people don't want me to smoke. I'll smoke in the cigarette or in the street, or I'll smoke where no one is around that I can upset. Monday morning, I'm walking down a big thoroughfare. I'm standing looking in a window, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and a woman came along and brushed me aside, and she's throwing her arms in the air and flinging the air about as if I had poisoned her. And I became so outraged, I said to her, "Hey, you, I'm not on AIDS. I don't have AIDS. I don't have syphilis. I don't have cribs. I don't have any of your filthy diseases, and I don't know where you've been in the past hour or the past week or the past month or whatever you're doing with yourself. But how dare you treat me in such a manner because I smoke. And that's all I have to say. I am fed up with the actions of people who will treat me like I'm some kind of a low dog because I smoke. And that's all I have to say, Bob.
At WABC, this is the Bob Grant program.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you won't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Jaggedy yak!
Don't do crack.
Don't you give me no dirty looks. Your father's hip, he knows what cooks. Just tell your hoodlum friend outside, you ain't got time to take a ride. Jaggedy yak!
Don't do crack.
Hi, I'm Carl Gardner of the Coasters. I've seen the lives of some of my best friends and relations get ruined by cocaine and crack. It's sad to lose your hopes and your dreams. Don't abuse drugs.
This world has got so much to give. You only got one life to live. Jaggedy yak!
Don't do crack.
Partnership for a Drug-Free America.